Okay, welcome to the first dad edition of my conversation. Today we have YouTube content creator
I guess.
and
Yeah.
also collector, Convicted Cinephile, also known as Derek. How's it going today, man?
It's going. Can't
Yeah.
complain. Thank you for having me on here. It was cool that Tim suggested me to do it.
Oh, I
Um,
I already had you lined up on my list of guests
well, that's good.
because I figured this would be a good one to do. So
We'll try not to disappoint
glad
too
that you
much.
said yes. I normally like to start with a non-movie question, and this is kind of like half question, half statement. But if I never saw you before, I would swear you were related to Seth Rogen. Has anyone ever mentioned that to you before?
No, never.
It's not the laugh, but
Yeah,
it's more like
yeah.
the
The
way,
voice and my look.
the
Yeah,
cadence. Yeah.
constantly. It used to happen like daily. I worked at the movie theater
Mm-hmm.
when Knocked Up was coming out,
Mm.
and I was like taking tickets one time next to the poster, about 3 feet to the left of me, and everyone's like, "Oh," I'm like, "Yeah, I know,
I'm
I
not doing a
look like
voice.
him, kind of." Yeah, like this is what I sound like. So like
Mm-hmm.
anytime I'm just like, "Hey, do you know who you remind me of?" I'm just like Seth Rogen, and it like makes them angry that I guessed so quickly. I'm like,
It's like,
I've
you
been
took
getting
my
it for
answer.
almost 20 years at this point.
Yeah. But
So, but yes, often.
whether it's like watching your content or like on live streams, I see that you're a naturally funny guy. Some people try to make jokes or, have bad timing with jokes. You're like right on it. And I like
I
that
appreciate that,
because
man.
that just seems like a natural thing with you. Um, would you say
I
comedy
like to
is
think
your
I'm funny.
would you say comedy is your favorite genre?
I don't know. I don't know if I have one, honestly.
Hmm.
I like every kind of movie. It just depends on the movie. It definitely used to be my favorite, I'd say, when I was like a teenager and stuff. Like
Yeah.
if you look at my recent spoof movie summer stuff I was doing, like I lived off that when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I wish I could find my videos I made with my friends when I was like 16, because sadly they were probably made better than the YouTube videos I make now, because I had an actual like computer and editing
Hmm.
software. So that's always been my forte, was just doing stupid stuff like that.
But not everybody can do that. That's why I say you're like a natural at it. Plus, they don't make
Yeah.
as many comedies as they used to. Do you think like
They
with
can't anymore.
yeah, and you've made jokes about like cancel culture and all that. Do you think it's more of that than like why we have like less comedies today than we had like in the 70s, 80s, even 90s?
It's got to be the bulk of it. Everyone's like afraid to make a joke nowadays about anything, it seems like, which I always think it's like, I'm stealing a line from Trey Parker and Matt Stone, but it's like, it's okay as long as you make fun of everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you start saying you can't make fun of certain things that you become racist or what have you.
Yeah. You have to be like an equal opportunity offender.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes, that's the best way to put
Oh
it.
man. Do you
So I miss those days.
yeah, I think that's why a movie like Hangover was such a big hit because it kind of came out of nowhere in a time when like
Right.
no one was really making like I don't even want to call it this, but risque comedies.
Yeah, and it's not even super risque or anything. It's just it's kind of like an old 80s comedy, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to compare it exactly to something specific, but it just kind of
Hmm.
reminds you of those kind of movies where it's just guys being stupid and doing funny things, like Bachelor Party or something. Well, I guess it's similar to Bachelor Party,
Yeah,
but it kind of reminds me of something like that.
it's true.
But for modern audiences, and then they ruined it with the sequels. But anyway, this one it won Best Picture at the Golden Globes or something.
So what exactly is a convicted cinephile and do I qualify as one or can I qualify as one?
Uh, it seems like you can. You watch more than I do nowadays, at least.
Hmm.
I don't know. It just sounded good. I honestly thought of this YouTube channel name like 4 years ago, probably long before I started doing anything
Hmm.
or even considered actually starting a YouTube channel. The concept was originally much more horrible. So just use your imagination and think of it. I'm not going to even talk about it because cancel culture. But it was going to be more of a nostalgia critic, angry video game nerd esque show where I'm like literally a prisoner talking
Mm.
about a specific movie that is smuggled in to my prison cell via my cellmate in the way that you smuggle things into prison. So that was the original concept. But I have like absolutely no way of making it good. And like my phone at the time was even worse than the one I have now, and I'm surprised I can even do this, to be honest with you. But yeah,
I'm
so that's why I didn't start when it did when I thought of it was for those reasons.
I'm getting a visual.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I can't do that though.
Mhm.
But
I
yeah.
could see you trying to make an intro video just based off of that scenario.
Oh
That
yeah,
would
I
have
still need to
been.
make a real intro.
Let's talk about that. What is the talk shop pop? Where did that come from?
Uh, it sounded good, and I thought of it one day. I mean, there's no like, yeah,
Simple.
that kind of works. And then I just made the stupid little intro around it in my editing software that I use for everything. It
Hmm.
just, it sounded good and it kind of makes sense. That's
Yeah,
basically where it came from. Nothing special. It's not nearly as clever as it
it's unique
I would
though.
hope.
It's
Yeah, but
very
it
unique.
works.
Yeah, and I do like the little jingles that you've been doing, like for your
Oh
various
yeah.
themes.
That was the first thing I thought of doing for my channel was the
Hmm.
playing a crappy keyboard and singing about the movie I mean, my actual channel, not the imaginary one that I was talking about before.
Hmm.
But like, I was gonna do this horror movies more or less, and make a little jingle about the movie, and then
Hmm.
talk about the movie. So now that I'm finally doing the anthology horror thing, I'm like, oh, I can do that. So like, two of them were in my brain that I forgot about that I haven't done yet.
Hmm.
So I'll probably do those next. So those songs will be less random and cut together because I've actually had them in my mind for like almost a year. But the new ones, like the last two I just did, and I probably thought of like 2 seconds before I sat down and recorded because I'm
You're a
just
natural.
because I just like I used to actually write like parody songs as a hobby when I was a
Yeah,
kid because I loved that stuff.
a
So if I
natural
could
Weird
find a
Al.
notebook, yeah, not as good though, or I can't play actual music, which sucks.
I told you, my dog had a interesting reaction to the spoof movie,
Oh
Summer.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a good one.
It's like
My
he
dog used
almost
to hate
broke
Tom
his neck
Hanks.
just swinging his head around. It's just like, what the hell is
So yeah,
that?
my wife wanted to see it, but wouldn't let me play it again. I love angering dogs with my voice. Beagles hate me especially because
Oh, really?
for some reason, yeah, they just scream at me anytime a beagle's around me. They hate me. I don't know what it is.
Oh, maybe it's that frequency. It just matches up with
But
like,
yeah, my previous dog hated Tom Hanks, so that's what made me think of it when you told me that your dog hated my intro.
um, whether it's your themes or like content for your video, how do you come up with it? Is it just like off the
Oh Lord,
top,
those
or
are.
do you plan them out?
I mean, I've been doing the theme month thing that everybody else does the last couple months, so it's getting me to focus and actually watch movies again, which is nice because, like I was telling you earlier, I buy all these movies, but I don't have time to watch them most of the time. So this is making me have to watch some, which is nice. But otherwise, yeah, I'll just do some random. Like I like to do the thrifting vlogs and things of that nature, but I don't want to just do the same thing as everybody else. Which I mean, I'm sure everybody thinks and says that. So I try to have variety, which probably like hinders my subscribers a bit. That I'm the guy who does like Oscar coverage and stupid parody songs of horror movies. It's a weird mix. But I'd rather do something that I actually want to do than just to try to like get
Yeah,
subscribers that don't watch anything.
yeah.
I don't
You
know.
got to be you.
I'd rather have 100 subscribers that actually watch my videos than 1,000 subscribers and get that don't care.
Yeah, you got to be you. Two of
Yeah.
the things that you did recently, or maybe even not so recently, it was kind of like the history of like Monty Python and then also the Wayans
Yeah.
family. I don't see anybody
Mm-hmm.
else doing that kind of content. And, for people who are younger than us, they may not know all of the Wayne brothers content or the people who
Yeah.
made Scary
Or any of
Movie
them.
or whatever. So it was
Right.
really in depth. and I like that kind of stuff because, like I said, it's unique and not enough people are talking about it.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I mean, I try to. It's stuff that I liked and grew up with, so that's why. And my kid loves Monty Python and the Holy Grail now.
Hmm.
After I made him watch it, he had a little crown and he was like doing King Arthur lines and had a bucket for the Black Knight and was doing
Hmm.
that whole scene because he has a freakish memory and he remembers every little detail of everything. So hopefully he can keep it that way and not forget everything like I do now.
You're bringing about a an important dad thing. Um, you have one son, right?
Yeah.
And you've reached a point where you've started like sharing movies with him. Um, like, what are some of the content that he enjoys or you enjoy sharing with him besides like Monty Python?
I mean, we both love superhero things. I've loved superhero stuff since I was his age. So I
Hmm.
actually went out and rebought the very first action figure I ever had, his old Superman figure from like 1989, before he was born, while my wife was still pregnant. So I hunted one down and bought it and just framed it and put it in his room so it would be his first action figure. But I don't
Nice.
let him play with it. But we have his Imaginext superhero toys, so we play with those and he watches YouTube videos. He loves Halloween stuff, so he watches Spirit Halloween animatronics. Like that's what we do. All for as soon as Spirit opens, we're going to be going there at least twice a week. That's all we did last
Oh,
year. So you'll probably see some Spirit Halloween videos just to fill up some content. But yeah, he has his own horror movie character collection, like stuffed animals and some figures. Because I used to have all my movie maniacs up behind me before I needed more space for movies, so I
hmm.
stored them all, and I'm kind of selling some because they're just sitting under the stairs. But he memorized every single character that was on the shelf. I just pointed that one. He'd be like, "Oh, that's Snake Plissken," and he was like two.
Nice.
So he knows all that stuff. But now he has
Nice.
his own little. He has a little Sam figure, like those little Toonie Terrors. He's got
Hmm.
Sam. My sister got him Freddie and Jason for Christmas. So he loves all that stuff.
Nice.
He loves
Um,
Killer Cats from Outer Space. He was singing that. He loves like theme songs from movies.
oh,
So he'd memorize like the Killer Clowns theme song. We'd have to play it on the Alexa 100 times. The Blob theme from the old Blob movie. He loves that. So we've watched that with him a few times. Anytime I ask him what he wants to watch, half the time the answer is the Blob.
the criterion of that has the jingle in the menu. And I remember I was gonna watch it one time and I left it on. And by the time I came back, my youngest daughter had memorized the jingle. You mentioned award season, and that's another part of your content that I enjoy. It's not just like the Academy stuff. You get into BAFTA and DGA, and Golden Globes, and
Mm-hmm.
all that. Do you have like a favorite out of all of those different award ceremonies?
I mean, the Oscars is the important one,
Hmm.
so that's always the one I look forward to the most. But I just love seeing, especially like the Guild nominations,
Hmm.
working its way up to the Oscars and just trying to like the predictions and things of that nature. It's just fun to do. I've been doing that for a decade at least
Yeah.
on like goldderby.com and stuff. But yeah, pretty much all of fall before I started my YouTube channel, all I would do is read awardsdaily.com
Hmm.
articles while I'm sitting at work in between things, and been doing a little less of that lately. But it's starting up again now because the fall movie festivals are beginning. So we'll
Yeah.
see all the things that are probably going to get nominated for best picture or actor and what have you are going to be popping up soon.
It's interesting because like in past years, like I'm going back like 8, 10, 15 years, it was almost like predicting the DGAs and the BAFTAs and screen actors. They almost predicted what the big ones will be at Oscars. These days it's kind of random. You have like nominees for those other awards that don't even get Oscar nomination. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good mix usually.
Hmm.
It's just annoying when like someone they do it. It seems like they're doing the right answers all the way up, and then the Oscars just like leave somebody out. It's like, what the hell are you
Hmm.
doing? Like I was watching a video yesterday. The Oscar expert, another YouTube guy who's infinitely more popular than us, but he like just does Oscar stuff essentially and movie reviews for new stuff, and he actually gets to go to like TIFF and things like that because he's that popular now. But he was doing like a retrospective of the 2014 Oscar season, which was a good one, but with Birdman and Boyhood and all that.
Hmm.
and then just getting to like the best actor specifically, and how many good things were left off, like Jake Gyllenhaal for Nightcrawler. It's like, God, what do they think?
Yeah.
He hit everything up until then too. So it's just one of those things where like he got every single nomination that was important, and then somehow missed the Oscar. It's like they just hate those kinds of movies, I guess, like thrillers, like Gone Girl, same year, same thing. They
Yeah.
just they just hate thrillers at the Oscars, I guess.
And I was mentioning
Whatever.
this to Movies and Sue the other day that I think as the Academy Award members start to skew younger and more diverse,
Mm-hmm.
we'll start to see more things. I don't want to say that we like, but more popular
Right.
movies getting considerations because now it's not, Kiss of the Spider Woman or The Outer
Right.
Africas and all that that are going to
Yeah, it's
be
not the
like,
Beatty stuff as much anymore.
yeah, it's not going to be like you had one video where it was showing like the people who lost 10 or 11 nominations and they didn't win a
Yeah.
single one. You're going to stop seeing that and probably more, like I said, diversity in the movies that they select.
Right. Yeah, there's a I mean Power of the Dog almost did it. That was one of the
Mm-hmm.
things we talked
It
about,
was
but
close.
it got the one thing that everyone knew it was getting, which was best
Yeah,
director. So
yeah,
it was like, which was good. I was happy. I don't care.
yeah.
I would have liked to see
Um,
Benedict Cumberbatch. What are you gonna do?
yeah. So besides the obvious, just to switch it up a little bit, besides the obvious, what do you miss about working at a movie theater?
Yeah, besides the obvious free movies.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's like not much. I guess I miss my friends that I worked with there. Like I'm still friends with them today. Like I miss
Cool.
having work friends than actually like looking forward to going to work to be with them and
Hmm.
stuff like that. But because I like jobs after that were nothing like that at all as a grown up, you could say.
Yeah,
But yeah, I just miss my actual like being working with people who share interests that you have because they're also working at the movie theater. Like there's kids who work there just to have a job, but then
right.
there's the other kids who I'm friends with still who work there because it's a movie theater, and they're the ones I've been friends with for 20 years and so forth.
Yeah. I I never did a movie, I never worked at a movie theater, but I did work at a couple of video stores. And in that case, it sounds weird,
Nice.
but I kind of miss the customers. I miss the Tuesday regulars that would come in every week and you kind of get preferential treatment and put a few movies aside for them and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we never had that too much at the theater. It's a little different, but we did always have the same. There'd be people who were there all the time.
Hmm. Were you a big like video rental guy back in the days?
Not like at that age,
Hmm.
but when I was a kid, we grew up renting movies and stuff all the time. Like that's how I watched everything.
Yeah.
I was lucky and I had cable weekends and stuff. So I've grown up on Total Recall and RoboCop taped off of HBO since I was 5 years old. I actually still have one of the tapes behind me here just because I thought it was funny. Found it at my
Nice.
mom's house. But so I grew up on stuff like that, and we'd always rent. They'd always rent like the newest horror movie that came out that week, or comedies and things of that nature. So I miss the Mr. Movies days, is what I called it, because that was the store we used to rent from before Blockbuster was like huge. I always
Hmm.
preferred going there, or even Video Update. Were both much better than Blockbuster. So
Yeah. The little mom and pop shops or little
yeah, there was
local.
one really close to my house too that we went to before Mr. Movies. That's still there. It's like everything around it's torn down now, but it's not even open. It's weird. But yeah, a buddy of mine who has a YouTube channel uh, had whole home video. If you're interested, he lived next door to that video store, so he like lived there essentially. So he always talks about that.
Nice. I mentioned this a few times in these conversations, but I was that kid that would always have like the VHS tapes with two or three movies on them, and I would come home after school and just pop one in and
Oh right,
Evil Dead 1 and 2, Rumble in the Bronx,
yeah,
Fright Night, and it's really interesting now to see them coming out on 4K, and it's kind of like I'm getting nostalgic and reliving my childhood that way.
nice. I actually have. I was obsessed with Toxic Avenger too, because like when I was a kid, we didn't have 8 billion superhero movies. So anything that was like a superhero movie, I loved. So I would always watch Toxic Avenger, taped off
Yeah.
of USA up all night with Gilbert Gottfried or whoever was hosting it. So I'd
Hmm.
watch those three on a tape, and then I had Friday the 13th, 5, 7, and 8. So those are like the three I watched constantly that I loved as a kid. So it was
Nice.
weird. I didn't even see the original until probably 20 years after the fact. Those
That's
are the three
funny.
I watched.
And it's so weird. A lot of people, this is like a common thread right now with superhero fatigue. And for
Mm,
me, it's like I remember waiting 3 to 5 years for a movie
right. Yeah.
that
And it
might be
was that
related
time.
to a comic book. So, I'm not at that point because I'm like a sponge right now. I'm just eating it all up. But I know a lot of people are suffering with
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Is it- If that's all you watch, I can understand it'd be getting annoying, but it's like, watch more stuff. But yeah,
yeah.
it's like nothing made me more. I was so excited for Blade. Like I was probably the only. How old would I have been? 1998. I think it came out like right when I turned 13 because it came out the month that
Hmm.
I was my birthday month. Because yeah,
Nice.
I was like, I was just seeing a Blade poster. I was like, oh my god! And the fact that I even knew who Blade was is weird thinking
Hmm.
about now. So I was so excited for Blade, and I loved it when it came out. Still love it; it's great. But then,
Yeah.
like X-Men coming out and Spider-Man, I was like having literal heart palpitations in the theater. I was so excited to watch them.
Yeah. Batman 89 was the big one for me. It was like,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah, I didn't see that
and
in theaters,
Batman.
I don't think, but I definitely was excited for it and had all the toys and stuff. I did see
Hmm.
Batman Returns in theaters. I remember that.
Yeah. Let's see. I see some books there behind you. What do you love about that 1001 movie to see before you die series?
Well, that's the only one I have, and I've had it for about 14 years now.
Hmm.
I
What are the
just
other
like,
ones?
yeah, it's just fun to look at stuff and look at the movies. It's the one under that's 501 directors, so
Mm,
same basic book. And then I got these littler ones over here. Grab one. Are just genre specific ones. So it's like 101 horror movies. My kid
nice.
loves to grab this one and look through the whole thing with me. He's like, "Oh, it's Reagan." I'm like, yeah, like he's seen the movie. It's just funny. But yeah, there's a. So I have a sci-fi, gangster, war movies, sci-fi one, and then my mom just randomly grabbed me this '80s movie one like a couple weeks ago.
I have one more question before we start the five takes.
Okay,
Are you still Godfather Part 2 over the original Godfather?
having not watched them since last time I watched them, yes,
Hmm.
I need to. I don't have the 4K set yet. Because when that came out, I was like, "Oh, that has half off on Black Friday written all over it."
Yeah,
And had I had money to spend on Prime Day, I would have probably bought it on Prime Day for like
yeah.
42 or whatever it was. So come Black Friday, I'll get it for whatever it drops back down to and give them another watch. And I still haven't seen the third one, even though I've owned it for 20 years, some form or another. But now that they have that Coda cut, I'm more interested in seeing how that
Yeah.
ends. I've heard
Both
nothing
of
but
them
better
are
things.
on the set. You get the original
Yeah,
Part 3 and Coda.
yeah, it's in the special features disc, right? The
Hmm.
regular brother.
It's like just put it over there. Put it over there.
Yeah, you're at least they did. I mean, it's good they did that. They didn't like Lucas it up or anything.
Hmm.
And but yeah, from what last time I watched him, which is yes, I don't know how long ago, I definitely was more interested in the second movie. I don't know, just because I like the time skipping back and forth things, and I just like Robert De Niro, so that
You're
helped.
not alone. You're not alone. I'm definitely Godfather Part 2.
Yeah, I was
Here's
thinking
a good
so.
here's a good content suggestion for you. Sequels that are better than the original.
Right. That'd be a short video.
Terminator 2,
Yeah, even that's
Godfather Part 2.
arguable. Terminator One is amazing. I love Terminator One.
Hmm. Some people would say Aliens over Alien. So
I won,
I would say
but
they're
it's damn good. I'm
completely
not
different, besides the few characters, or really just one character in both, but
right.
I see them as separate entities almost.
Yeah, they're so different. They're
Yeah.
completely different genres. They just happen to have aliens in them.
Hmm.
But yeah, Alien. I mean, they're both great. I like Alien 3 and 4 too. But
Evil Dead 2. Some
yeah,
people like that one more than the original.
yeah, or
Once
even
again,
earlier.
it's a different movie to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like a quasi remake in the first place.
Hmm.
I was very confused. I remember when we first rented that from the Mr. Movies, as I was saying. We rented the second one first because my dad's like, this is the only thing they had that I haven't seen yet. So we got it. And we're like, cool. And we loved it. And it's hilarious. And then we were
Hmm.
like, let's go back and get the first one. And then when we started it, we're like, why is it all the same stuff? Like, why did they go back to the cabin
Hmm.
in the second movie? And then, like, now watching it when you're older, it's like, oh, okay. It's, it's just showing what happened in the first movie
Hmm.
because money reasons. But as like a kid, it's like, what? Like, why? They're stupid. Why did he go back there?
Yep. Okay. So you ready to do the five takes?
Yep, I'm going to give you completely different answers this time. just, just for confusion.
It'll make it really interesting for the people who didn't see the first answers.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, starting with the first question.
Right.
Name the film that made you fall in love with the movies.
All right. What did I say? Oh yeah, it was the not the film specifically, but the book on the making of the Evil Dead trilogy that I read in high school that got me obsessed with the theory of filmmaking and eventually going into filmmaking at college, which I did. I have an associate's degree in
Nice.
filmmaking, and I did screenwriting classes as well, just because it kind of goes along with it. Um, yeah, so I shot on 16 millimeter film for a few years and edited the old school way on the table with taping the reversal film together. Yeah, we use reversal film, and then a couple of years later, we use negative film for like the final couple of classes. So it's kind of interesting to see both because most people probably don't even know what the hell reversal film is, honestly.
True.
But it's weird. But yeah,
Name five of your favorite films, not the top five. That's,
yeah,
yeah, impossible to name.
because it's a different answer tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
I'm probably going to say five different movies than I said the first time we recorded it. Now that I had a second, so not including the Evil Dead movies, since I already mentioned them. I got to go Back to the Future
Hmm.
because that's another one of those movies I was just obsessed with as a teenager. I grew up with the second one only on VHS taped off TV, but when I got into the first one, I was like super into Crispin Glover for some reason, and I just loved him in that performance so much that it just made me obsessed with the first movie. And it's, in my opinion, one of the better comedy screenplays of all time.
Hmm.
It's the little things throughout it. It has some of the best setup payoffs in like any movie I've ever seen. So there's that, and like I said, I love the Coen brothers. And my favorite two films of theirs are No Country for Old Men
Hmm.
and Fargo. It just depends on what I feel like watching that day. Very excited that Fargo's finally getting 4K,
I know. I
and
know.
I really want No Country too because it's like how
Yeah.
doesn't it
I
already? It's a
keep
great movie.
hoping Criterion does a 4K of that, but
That'd be perfect for them.
we
Yeah,
wait. We wait. So
right.
that
Because
so that's three.
this year would be the
Four.
15th anniversary. Do it this year.
Yeah,
That's also
right.
my wife and my movie. Like people have their songs. No Country for Old
Hmm.
Men is our movie. We saw that
Nice.
together like three times in theaters.
Hmm.
And this was like after we stopped working there. I think it came out like 6 months after I stopped working at the movie theater. I worked there for like 7 years.
Wow.
And so yeah, I loved it then. We, for the Oscars that year, we made cupcakes with a picture of everyone we wanted to win in each cupcake. And I'm just going to say we ate all the cupcakes because we were right about every single answer.
Nice.
Where was I? One I didn't think of earlier that I should say is The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing, obviously.
Hmm.
The one people know and have seen. But yeah, I was obsessed with Halloween when I was like 13, and that
Yeah.
was like my favorite thing ever. When I was like 13 to 15, lots of movies I was obsessed with randomly. But it was when I first saw Halloween because I grew up on Freddy and Jason, but I didn't see Halloween until I was about that age,
Hmm.
and I was just went crazy for it. And I'm pretty sure I had seen The Thing before I ever saw Halloween, but then now, 20 years later or whatever, The Thing is like easily probably my favorite, if not one of my top five favorite horror movies of all time or sci-fi movies.
Yeah, because it
So
works in
that's
both
definitely up there.
genres. It works
Yeah,
in both.
it's a great alien invasion movie that you don't really think of when you think of alien invasion movies.
Hmm. It's true.
And it's like the best visual practical effects like of all time. And
Yeah.
how that wasn't nominated for best visual or makeup It's just like the biggest insult in history.
Go figure.
Uh, Stupid ET ruining everything. Um, the nice alien movie that came out that year. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, and my favorite like classic '50s film I was mentioning was 12 Angry Men with Henry Fonda. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Which I have the Criterion and I still haven't watched the damn thing, but I've seen the movie 5 or 6 times.
Hmm.
And for a movie that all takes place in one room, and the more you watch it, you think it would get less interesting because you already know how it ends.
Nope.
It stays equally intriguing the entire time.
Hmm.
And another movie that's just like that to me, not in a one room setting, but one that just stays as interesting or even gets more interesting the more I've watched it, was David Fincher's Zodiac.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
first time I watched it, I remember it being really long, and I liked it enough, but I didn't love it. And then it's one of those things like almost every one of his movies was like this, where I watched it like first time I didn't really love it, like Fight Club, same thing.
Hmm.
And then like 10 years later, not 10 years later for this, but I'd watch it again, and then something would just snap in my brain, and I'd be like, "This movie's amazing."
You get into the
And I had to watch
details.
it like the next day again just to like see how much I loved it for real. Like you have to rewatch every movie at least once,
Yeah. You get into the
unless
details of the movie.
yeah. And I love that it's all true crime thing too, which is just interesting in the beginning. But yeah, I just love that the whole case is just so interesting, and it's like the most intense movie I could think for being a movie that's about a guy who draws cartoons who's really interested in a serial killer. It's extremely like creepy, and that
Hmm.
too has some of the best visual effects in a movie you wouldn't expect to be there. It's very interesting how much visual effects actually goes into Zodiac.
Yeah, it's true. All right. Third question. Name a classic movie that everyone loves, but you can't stand.
Well, I thought of two.
That's fine. Name them.
As I remember the other one after the fact. I'll say my first answer was a Thin Red Line because I just find Terrence Malick movies to be boring and pretentious. They're pretty to look at,
Hmm.
but there's nothing there for me to care about in that film, especially primarily because it was cut in half or more from its original, like however many hours long it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Adrian Brody was the lead character in that movie, or at least a lead character in that movie, and by the end of the movie, he's barely in it. Like if you blink, you miss Adrian Brody in that movie. So he brought his whole family to the premiere, and they were like, "Where are you?" He's like, "I don't know what the hell happened." And then like Gary Oldman was in that movie. He's cut out completely. There's so many good actors, and I think Christian Slater or something was one of the other ones who was just completely cut out of that movie.
Oh, wow.
It's just yeah, it's the what happened to the movie is more interesting than the movie because there's no movie there once you cut it half of it out.
Yeah.
And then the other one I thought of that everyone loved at least at the time that I couldn't stand was Bohemian Rhapsody. I thought that was a very it's like it's okay, it's
Hmm.
but it's not really a movie. Like the last 15 minutes of it are really well done with the whole Live Aid sequence, but everything before that is pretty much just like, hey, you know this Queen song? I think they made it like this, and it's like what it is for 2 hours. And then Rami Malek lip syncs the whole time because it's not even him singing mostly.
It's one of those moments where, if you end a movie really well, people forget how it began or the
Exactly. Yeah,
middle or whatever. And I would
exactly.
say that is, like you said, the Live Aid portion is definitely the best part of the movie because you could put a side by side from the actual Live Aid
Yeah,
concert with that, and it's almost verbatim.
yeah, it's good. Yeah, and I've seen that too. It's great. But yeah, even the guy who won the Oscar for editing that movie is like, I don't think I did a very good job. Like even he was like, why did I win for this? And it won sound editing, which it shouldn't have been nominated for sound editing because people just don't know the difference
Hmm.
between. Even the people voting for the Oscars don't know the difference between sound editing and sound mixing, which is why they've turned it back into one category, which just sucks because then there's some really good movies with one or the other that are going to get ignored now.
Yeah,
But that's one of the reasons. Is Bohemian Rhapsody.
it
It won
makes it
4 Oscars.
easier. It makes it easier for the voters that way.
Yeah. Well, then,
Okay,
yeah, it makes them focus on one or the other. It's I don't know. It's just weird.
yeah. Let's flip that. Number four, name a critically hated movie that you love. As a comedian or a fan of comedy, you should
Yeah.
have a whole bunch.
Yes. Anything Jim Carrey did or Chris Farley did in the '90s, honestly.
Hmm.
Um, critics hated everything that they did, and I loved it all. Or early Adam Sandler when he, used to be funny.
Yeah.
But the one I thought of that it's from my favorite filmmakers, once again, the Coen brothers. Nobody likes the Lady Killers. Even people who love the Coen brothers. I
Hmm.
did a Coen brothers trivia night like 3 years ago,
Mm.
which I won, by the way. Yeah. Nobody got any of the Lady Killers questions right except for me because they just hate that movie so much. It's like,
It's
I don't know. I just don't get it. It's like, what are you expecting out of this movie? Like, it's a goofy, like, crime comedy, and it's exactly what it's supposed to be. And it's, I don't know. It's just people expect a different movie. So when they watch it, they hate it. I don't get why people hate it so much because I
yeah,
think it's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. And I try to make everyone watch it who hasn't seen it. So I didn't need to, I don't, is it on Blu ray even? I don't even think it is. I think I
not to
have
my
the
knowledge.
widescreen DVD. So
Yeah,
Disney
I
needs
think
to.
it's one of those movies where it's like you might have seen it once and then you forget about it because it didn't capture you. And
Right,
you compare it to their other movies, and there's even people who've seen like Barton Fink a lot of times. But
right,
Fargo, definitely No Country, things like that. But if you only seen a movie once, you probably don't remember it unless it was memorable. And then in that case, you probably seen it more than once.
right.
So who
I
knows?
just, I just think
I
of the case of people not knowing what it was, and then half the people who saw it wanted to see Tom Hanks in something, and
hmm
then it's not your usual Tom Hanks, which is why I think it's so funny because he's so goofy in it. Like he's never
hmm
like that in anything else. So yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
one of those weird cases of just like no one understands why it's so funny. I guess.
I would say out of their filmography, for me, it's Hail Caesar. That's the one that I was just like, this is a little bit too off for me.
Yeah, it's
But
just
like,
not that interesting.
yeah.
I guess. Yeah, it has like really good like art direction and like it's shot
hmm
really well. The cinematography is always as good because Roger Deakins.
But like you're
But
saying, if you look at it as just like a comedy, it's so-so. But if you look at it as a Coen Brothers movie,
right,
it's a better perspective.
it's a yeah, it's a their quirkiness is like you have to know who they are, I guess, to make it click in your brain of like, oh, okay. Like Man Who Wasn't There is another really weird one where it's like you're either gonna really like that movie or you're gonna hate it. So,
It's true. It's true. And finally, fifth question is, who would you like to see me have a conversation with on this channel?
I was gonna say Bob from Bob's Blu-rays because he and I chat constantly,
Mm,
um, pretty much. Yeah, I just think he's a newer guy like us. Like I've been around
yeah.
for damn near a year now, but you can be able to tell. But he has like every movie ever apparently because every video he does, he's like, I got 75 movies from Kino Lorber today, and I'm like, how
Yeah.
do you do this? I get like 10, and I'm like, woo.
Yeah. Or you're
So,
looking at your budget and you're like, ooh.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't have one. That's a problem. It's just like, oh, I bought stuff, and I probably shouldn't have, and now I got to not buy stuff for a while.
hmm I'll
So,
just say August will be pretty quiet for me.
yeah, and August has a ton of stuff I do want, which sucks because like I was gonna get those Child's Play 4Ks.
Yeah.
I pre-ordered them, but then I was just like, it would just save some money, and I'm like, I don't need all those posters and stuff.
hmm
They're cool, but I don't have room for them. I already got 6 Scream Factory posters, or 8 actually, on my wall, and I don't have room for anything else. That's why my Bubba Hotep posters are sitting on the floor. And so I was like, I'll just cancel it, and then I'll maybe get them at Best Buy because they're going to be like $9 cheaper anyways than they are on Scream Factory's websites. It's
It's
like,
true.
might as well save the space and spend 20 something dollars less if I
Mm.
end up getting them. So
It's just like the Halloween three movie set that was just released or
yeah,
announced. There's no way. I think that's it. They know that's the only way they'll get people to buy Resurrections. There's people who hate
yeah,
H2O, but you know,
I like them all for different reasons.
yeah.
I don't even have the first 5 Halloweens yet. I keep almost buying them. Like I wait for like I have the big 15 disc Blu-ray set that I bought the day it came out before I
hmm
even knew what the hell Scream Factory was, just because I like Halloween. And my wife
Yeah.
was on vacation in Mexico with her dad and her sister, so I was like, I'm gonna treat myself. So I bought the big $120 Halloween set that everyone wishes they'd bought.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
reach out to Bob if you can put in a good word for me. That would help as well.
I'm sure.
And I want to thank you once again
Yeah,
for doing this.
for
Thank
the
you for
third
your
time.
time. Yes, for the third time, back again for the first time.
Yep.
Tell people where they could find you.
I am Derek. Convicted Cinephile is the name on YouTube and on Instagram. I have a TikTok, but I don't do much on it. But I'm there, uh, mostly promoting my things I do on YouTube. So just go to YouTube and Instagram; it's faster. But yeah, I do videos of things I pick up. My show me what you got videos I call them. And then right now I'm doing anthology for August. So I'm rewatching and making videos about anthology horror films that I like, trying to not make them too long or boring. And then last month I did spoof movie summer. So I did 15 videos, all involving parody films in some way or another.
I
So
love
that's what
that.
I'm doing.
I love that because, like I was saying before, it's not the content that everybody else is doing that makes it
Right.
unique and original to me. So
Exactly. I appreciate that. Yeah.
I'll
I
have.
try to do something worth doing that's different, you know,
Mhm,
that's still in the, the same wheelhouse, I guess you could say.
definitely. So I'll have your information below in the description, and
Awesome.
we'll chat soon because we're always on Instagram chatting.
Right.
So
I'm sure you'll message me before I get upstairs. So
yes, yes.
about how this didn't record again or something.
No, we got it this time. I see the
Okay.
recording thing
That's funny.
in the
I swear
left
it said it
side.
on the first time. That's why I was so confused. But
Yeah. All right,
sounds good.
man. Thanks again.
Yep. Thank you.
All right.